Hello everyone, it's DuckFairy07. Today I'm playing Zoo Reanimator brew. A lot of you who follow my channel are probably familiar with this build. I've been playing it since Invasions were released, and this is definitely among more fun ways to play the Zoo domain cards. And we have, of course, the Leyline Scion combo, Leyline Binding. We have Territorial Kavu, Inti of the Sun as a ways to discard Archon of Cruelty. Also, there is Invasion of Ergamon. This lets you draw this card. Invasions work well with the zoo creatures like Kavu, Scion of Draco, and Tribal Flames. Also, you just get to instant flip any invasion you have on the field. Most of them are very good when they flip, like this. When this one flips, it copies the creature in graveyard, and we mostly want to copy the Archon, but copying other stuff can be really good too. So this Invasion of Amonkhet works as additional copies of Persist, and that is what mostly you miss in reanimate decks anyway, just additional ways to reanimate your creatures. So having like 8 of these reanimate effects, and you can also tutor this one with Invasion of Ergamon. You can tutor it when Ergamon flips, and you also get the card advantage by just casting this, and also milling cards, putting relevant creatures in the graveyard for the Persist. It's an enabler, it's a card advantage, and it's also just additional Persist. Really good card for this deck, and this deck just easily flips it and into the powerful targets, and it can easily win you the game. Okay, so that's it. On the sideboard we have a lot of Cascade hate, temporary lockdowns hate, a lot of decks like Scales, Yawgmoth, Hammer Time, Charmouse. I see a lot of Tron lately, that's why I decided to include the Charmouse. Obviously Amulet Titan is there too. Tear Sunder, always glad to have them, like best artifact enchantment hate if you don't have access to Force of Figure. I could probably play Force of Figure here too, like I have 12 green spells, so that's an option too. Yeah, and that's it, that's about it. The fairies are great at the moment, additional hate for rhinos in explosives. Ego does a lot of job against Tron, against Cascade decks, so yeah, okay, versatile sideboard, and let's check out how did the matches go. Okay, so match 1, keeping kind of a weird hand, only removals. Opponent starts off with the Leyline. You see this lately a lot of Leylines out there. Okay, so drawing Invasion is very good for this hand because I have Tribal Flames, and Tribal Flames can easily flip the Invasion. Also, Persist works well with Invasion of Amonkhet. You can see just how relevant can this card be in this deck. Okay, so here opponent is obviously playing rhinos. They went for the Shardless Agent on their turn, so basically I can just try to kill one rhino here, and just to make their clock a bit slower, and then go for Invasion of Amonkhet on my turn, and then hope to find Archon until the next turn. I milled 3, but I didn't get anything relevant on the field. I did actually mill a Scion of Draco into opponent's graveyard, and unfortunately draw into the Archon of Cruelty, so this means I was really close to Archon, and this could have been probably totally different game. Okay, so here I went for Tribal Flames, but opponent has a perfect response to my hand. They have Binding for Scion, which also had lifelink, and they also had Force there. So also opponent top decks Violent Outburst to kill me. If they didn't do this, I would be able to Discard the Archon, play the Invasion of Amonkhet, flip the Invasion of Amonkhet, copy the Archon I discarded, and then persist Archon, and I would just win the game. So very lucky draw for the opponent. So let's check out game 2. Yeah, they just needed exactly Outburst. Okay, so here I mulligan one of the Leylines. I start with my Leyline. I have Binding here, I have Ergamon. So doing something. Okay, so just doing the redraw here, nothing crazy. You usually have some targets for Ergamon. It usually works well. This time I didn't have anything I want to discard in my hand, like I usually want to discard extra copies of Leyline, Archon, or some creature, like a Troll is okay to discard, redraw another playable card. So here I just played the Territorial Kavu. This is a decent card to play against Rhinos. Kavu is a 5/5, so they have to have something. I let them exile my Kavu, and they play the Scion of Draco, so end of turn I bring back my Kavu. Kavu can now attack, let me discard Archon. Yeah, so now I have Scion plus Leyline combo. You all know how good is this, and my opponent decides to immediately concede to it. So I also would get to flip the Ergamon, which is very good. Let me draw another invasion of the other one. So it's pretty hard to deal with. Okay, here let's check out game 3. I keep a risky one lander, but I only need like a green land here to go for a Persist. So I decide to risk it. I didn't draw a land immediately. Opponent starts with Leyline plus Scion, very powerful combo of course. And I did draw a land, but it was a tapped one and no green mana here. So opponent attacks for 4 and plays Shardless Agent. Definitely hard task here. So I go for Invasion of Ergamon. I discard my Archon, get the extra mana, and this is why I play the Invasion of Ergamon, because it's pretty sweet with so many 2-drops. You get to double spell on turn 3 with it, and it's pretty cool. So here opponent goes for attack with everything. I block the Scion of Draco. They have Dismember, so all damage goes through. But I get to reanimate Archon again, and then I also take their Leyline. So now they don't have first strike, they have 0 cards in hand. So I get to resolve the Fairy here, bounce the Rhino token, and then make them sack the Scion. And then I can also flip this, and this is like game over, and opponent concedes. It was a very hard situation to get out of, but thanks to the Archon I was able to do it. Archon is a very cool way an easy way to win against Rhinos. If you can get it on the field, it's hard for them to beat Archon. Okay, so match 2. Okay, in match 2 I keep Leyline plus Scion of hand. It's kind of amazing how often does this actually happen. It happens more than you think, and you also, like, similar when you're playing the Scam Zoo, you have a series of very strong starts, like it's either like Leyline Scion, or it's like Persist Archon, or it's like a Kavu plus Invasion of Amonkhet. When you play Scion on turn 2 or Kavu, followed with turn 3 Invasion of Amonkhet, this can often just end up being like really crazy powerful, because you can often hit like Archon, or even just hitting a Troll or a Scion is also pretty good. Okay, here opponent makes their hanger back a 5/5. It's not a big deal. I mean, a great situation. It's very hard for opponent to do much. And I also get to redraw here. So I exile the I discard Archon, another Archon. Opponent regenerates the hanger back, and I get to copy the Archon with Invasion, and I also find a binding to exile the Ozolith. So that is game over for the opponent. They concede. Let's check out the game 2. Okay, so let's also check the sideboarding plan. I forgot about the rhinos, but yeah, in this time, initially I had like 3 Leyline of the Voids in the sideboard. I decided to switch them for 2 Stubborn Denials and 2 Tear Sunders and just go with 0 Graveyard Hate. I think both options are fine, but yeah, consider this could be like Legion End, and the Leyline Bindings could be 2 Denials and 2 Tear Sunders. So for this matchup, I sideboarded the Tribal Flames. Like damage based removal is not that great against them, and Inti 2, like I'd rather have maybe like Obsidian Charma than Inti, but in this case opponent had 0 colorless land, so Charma wasn't really good also. So let's check out game 3. Okay, a lot of hate for this matchup. There's Temporary Lockdown. That is like the best card in the world for Scales matchup. If you want to win against Scales, you just play the Temporary Lockdown, and they have such a hard time beating it. It's very hard for them to beat it, yeah. Even when they get their creatures back, they often just are not as good as when they were when you played it. So okay, here I played the Invasion of Amonkhet and flipped it. Sorry, I didn't flip it because my opponent had a force figure. This was a big surprise. Didn't expect them to force figure just my Scion. So I didn't actually flip the Amonkhet. If I flipped the Amonkhet into Archon, this would be like a game over immediately. But this way opponent, I have a Leyline Binding here. I decided to use it before Scales. If I let Scales resolve, then they could do like a bunch of powerful stuff. So I exiled the Ravager before this, so they put a bunch of counters on their construct. Also get 4 counters on Ozolith. That makes me like I must block this construct token, but also now I get to kill the constructs and take their Ozolith, so it's pretty good position for me from now on. Opponent plays another Urza Saga, but that's not a problem. They just don't have much pressure here. And I play Kavu, have another explosives in my hand for their second Urza Saga. There's just nothing they can top deck at this point. So I go for the explosives. I really want to flip this invasion, so I kill the construct, so this way they can't jump. And I flip the invasion, make Archon, discard the last hand, and then persist another Archon. This is just like impossible to win, and opponent concedes, so that is win against Scales. Yeah, okay, so let's check out another one. Okay. Okay, so keeping a decent hand here, I have like a turn 2 Scion into turn 3 Invasion or even like a Kavu is even better. As I said, just a lot of times, especially with Kavu, this can end up being like extremely powerful play. Unfortunately, I decided to change my plan. Like I saw that they are going to play probably the One Ring, so I decided I'm going to use that turn when they have the protection to just play the invasion and attack the invasion. I didn't get the Archon, but I get to copy the Troll. Troll is hard to block and also has a lifelink. Opponent finds Ensnaring Bridge, but yeah, that's not enough. I can easily remove that, attack with everything and finish off my opponent with Tribal Flames. And that's easy win there in game 1 against Tron. Let's check out game 2. Okay, let's check out the sideboarding against Tron. Also notice that these 4 cards should be Stubborn Denials and Tear Sunders. These are all 4 cards I would usually just bring in against Tron. Here I trimmed on the 1 Amonkhet, trimmed the Leylines. Leylines are pretty mediocre in this matchup. They don't do much because Tron doesn't play like a removal anyway. So I just boarded them out. They're not very helpful. But yeah, opponent, I was not able to find Archon here. Really needed Archon to try to do something relevant. I was trying to find it still. Mill 3 more cards. I get the Charmow now, but I can't really use the Charmow. So that is the win for the opponent. And let's check out the third game. Okay, so in third game, very much easier playing first in this matchup. It really seems like a dice roll for non-interactive matchups like this, because you often, with this deck, you often do very powerful stuff on turn 3. But this time I decided against playing the Amonkhet and decided to go for prevent them from getting the throne and playing a second Scion of Draco. And now I get the Invasion of Amonkhet, make them discard a card and kill a Karn and reanimate Obsidian Charmow, kill a land. Very powerful play. And then now I also have like triple Persist and I have a Charmow in the graveyard. Now I can also just reanimate the Archon too, but I really wanted the Charmow, and the second Charmow seals the deal, so that's an easy win with 2 Charmows and 2 Scions for the win. That's it. Okay, so in this game I had like a pretty embarrassing stupid misplay and I conceded soon, so we are going to watch this one instead, and then the one from the defeats from the league. Okay, so here I keep a 2 lander, but I'm missing breeding pool. I get the land I need immediately. So again, I have a very good hand. This is like a turn 2 Scion into turn 3, potentially flip the Invasion of Amonkhet. Even if they kill the Scion, I can go like Persist plus Binding on turn 3. So it seems like a pretty decent hand anyways. I decided to go for... I was playing against a blue-white control. So I decided to go for a Scion of Draco first. It's a bit easier harder for them to kill the Scion, because they play like a Prismatic Ending probably. Okay, so they bounce my Scion unfortunately. And yeah, so I just go for invasion last turn, and now I decide to go like binding first, try to remove the fairy, and after they counter that, resolve my Kavu. Hopefully I can attack the fairy, but or at least use the ability, but my opponent Has the Solitude hard cast already, so that's not going to happen. Opponent now only 3 cards in hand, so I'm still in a okay position. I try to go to kill this Teferi, I really need to get rid of it, and my opponent has Ephemerate, so didn't want to play my creature. Okay, here now I find a discard outlet, put Archon into the graveyard, and then go for Persist to play around exactly Spell Pierce, and luckily I played around Spell Pierce. I could have played like a Scion first and then Persist. Luckily I played around Spell Pierce and I was able to resolve Archon of Cruelty. I did draw a card to make them sack the Solitude. Pretty sweet. But yeah, actually this wasn't like enough to win, as my opponent also top decked well. They were able to find a Solitude here, exile my Archon, so I played my Kavu too, so I can just discard this Archon, try to draw something I need more at the moment. So I go for a Binding here, take Teferi, because with Teferi on the field I can't play the Ergamon, and I copy the Solitude, decide to exile their Solitude, play Kavu, put all my threats on the field and pass the turn. Yeah, opponent has removal. I think last card should be Cryptic Coat, right? Here I find a Leyline, and yeah, it's interesting just how good this Leyline can be. Often just hard casting it for 4 mana wins so many games. That goes long, like it's turn 10, so it's very high chance I will have Scion of Draco available. There is some card draw in this deck, lets you find it more easily. Okay, here opponent has a Cryptic Coat, but that is like definitely no match for Scion of Draco combo. And okay, I go for another Invasion. This means I can now again attack it and copy the Archon. It's just a nightmare for the opponent. And yeah, so I also get to draw additional card. Attack Invasion, copy the Archon from the graveyard, do the Archon ability. They don't have cards in hand to discard, but it's like a super good position for me. I decide to hardcast another Leyline and pass the turn. Opponent then concedes, and that is win. Let's check out the game 2. Okay, so a lot of card drawing, discarding, so you get to do some card selection here. You get to discard additional Leylines you don't need. You also have like Kavu and Inti. A lot of interaction with Inti, but when you play only 2, you won't experience it that often. But Inti has a lot of synergy in this deck. Every time you cycle a troll, you do the Inti ability. Every time you attack with Kavu, you do the Inti ability. Also, same goes for Ergamon. Ergamon also creates a treasure when it enters the battlefield. So all these abilities, it's either free for 0 mana or 1 mana. So kind of a cheap interaction that works well with Inti. That's pretty cool. Okay, so I go for Ergamon here. I decide to go for it before attack. This way I can attack Ergamon, then flip it, discard another card, find another Invasion of Amonkhet, and then win the game much easily. So there is really a high value from these invasions in a zoo deck when they are flipped that easily. Okay, I discard the land here because I want to keep Leyline because I have Scion. You saw like how efficient that can be. Okay, opponent they play Pick Your Poison. It's a sorcery speed, so yeah, they decide to counter the invasion. So I get to attack with both of my creatures. That is 8 damage, 2 turn clock, and I also get to play the Scion. Next turn I can even go for the Leyline. which yeah is definitely a spell they have to counter, but they also have to deal with my creatures. So not an easy position for the opponent. I go for another Invasion of Amonkhet and opponent concedes. So even if they kill my creature, I still will be able to probably just flip the Amonkhet. And they also discard a card. I draw a card. It's an annoying card to play against, and it does well in the longer games. Okay, so that is it. Yeah, another win, and we are going to go check out this defeat. Okay, so keeping Reanimator focused hand. I have 2 Inti, I have 4 Kavus, I have 4 Invasion of Ergamons, so just need some outlet, discard outlet to work with Archon here. I find Troll and I decide to use Persist on Troll immediately, just start attacking with Troll, and I think I was unlucky this game. You could see me top decking 2 Archons. And then I used this turn when opponent, maybe I was thinking maybe I should play like 1 survey land in this deck, maybe, and I've my invasion bricked. Yeah, as you can see, my invasion bricked, and I discard 3 non-creature cards and then draw into the 3rd Archon of Cruelty. It definitely feels like I didn't have a luck this game. If I was able to like copy the Archon, maybe it would be a different game. And yeah, now my opponent was able to draw a bunch of cards, and I needed maybe a Tribal Flames, this one that I almost draw from the top, but to try to win, but it didn't happen, so opponent win in this one. And the mono black coffers is usually a bad matchup for most like creature based decks. It's hard to play and depend on cards like Kavu, Inti, Scion of Draco when they play so much removal like Fatal Push, Shaler Edict, March, Black March, then Damnation, Ensnaring Bridge, just a whole bunch of removal, and the chump blockers like Orcish Bowmaster and the Sheldred, which you also have to deal with. So definitely a bad matchup for most of these aggro builds. Okay, opponent goes for Edict, so I got to focus on the reanimate plan, but they also play a lot of graveyard hate, so it's not easy. This time I didn't have the Stubborn Denials and the Tear Asunder. If I had that, maybe this would be a bit easier game with those cards from the sideboard. In this league I had Leyline of the Void and 1 Legion's End instead of those cards. Okay, so my opponent, I didn't have any pressure in this game. I did have a lot of removal, so I still had a game going, and yeah, I find the Charmal and destroy another land, but yeah, destroying lands wasn't that efficient this time, and I have another binding to take the ring, and this was actually like okay position, but unfortunately I drew into the lands and my opponent drew into more gas and another damnation followed by another ring, and that was a game over. So yeah, that was a quick loss for against black coffers, and that is it. So as I already said, I had very similar builds in the past many times. Always consider this strategy be very fun, like the Invasion of Amonkhet is just very fun to play. Card does well in the longer games. It's like additional copies of Persist that can only work in a zoo style deck with cards like Territorial Kavu, Scion of Draco, Nishoba Brawler, Tribal Flames. These cards are very efficient with it, and like just enable it so easy that it's basically like the same as Persist, even better in the longer games. Yeah, I really like it. So that is it. Invasion of Ergamon, I think it's a decent discard outlet for this type of build, which has so many 2-drops. 20 2-drops, and this card lets you double spell on turn 3, which is I think really cool, often unexpected by opponent, and wins you a lot of games. And so that's it. Okay, so thank you for watching. A friendly reminder to click like, click subscribe. I know this list has a lot of fans out there, so I hope you try it and report how does the Leyline combo feels in this updated list. And yeah, that's it for today. Again, thank you for watching and goodbye.